Hello, and you're listening to the AI Moment with me, Jonathan Wagstaff.
And me, Danny Denhardt.
And Dan, this episode, we're going to look at a question that I had fired across to me the other day. And it was from somebody who was saying that they're looking for some advice on which AI is the best tool for shaping a PowerPoint. And this chap was saying that he'd written a sort of 30-page deck, and now he said it needs to be much more attractive. So it's mainly a visual need, although content could do with some sharpening tool. Which would be the best AI tool to use for this? So my response at the time was, I think number one is, I don't think anybody's really cracked the whole presentation bit, where I'd love to be at a point where you could just throw out a few words and it gives you a completely ready to go deck. I don't think we're at that point yet. Some are getting better, some are pretty close. My advice back was that the ones that I've seen do reasonable work. Gamma seems to be doing quite a good job. Clearly Copilot, given that they own PowerPoint, does a reasonable job. And Google Slides, the part of Gemini that deals with slides, all do a reasonable job in my experience. I'm by no means an expert in PowerPoint slides. But still, really, my approach is still that I will work with AI to generate the content of the deck. But almost always then I'll use Microsoft Designer to tidy it up manually. I'll do the final pass to make the slides look the way I want them to look still. That's my most effective way of doing it. What are your thoughts, Dan? How are you doing this kind of thing? And what are your thoughts on Gamma and Copilot and Google Slides?
This is something that is a real sort of soft spot / I've got strong opinions on it. So I'll dive in a little bit more. So I think out of all the ones that are available, I think Gamma is the best for anyone who has content and wants to make it visual. So whether that's internal presentations, whether you want to speak at a conference, if you have a Google Doc or a Word doc, Gamma is specifically designed to make people who definitely aren't a designer or don't have a design eye to make their content very visual. And you can pick through a load of slides, templates, or you can upload your own. It's all token based. So if you've got a really long document and you want to create 10 slides, you can tend to do that out of the box. Copilot is getting better. So Microsoft's Copilot is getting better. But the problem I find with Copilot is it's not as good when it comes to shaping visuals. Surprisingly, it isn't as good. And it often doesn't understand the most important takeaways. So with Copilot, you really have to be precise in saying what the most important or highest priority that you want to make, or you have it in a way, in a format. So for instance, if you wanted a board report or a management report, you'd probably want to say exec summary and your 5 bullet points. And then you'd want to break it down into the best pieces of information, and then it will create or co-create with you. And then as you do, Jonathan, go in afterwards and rejig and reshuffle the information. So they're two of the best ones out there. I definitely lean towards Gamma when I recommend it to people, because it just unlocks something within people, and it gives people the opportunity to create something that they probably wouldn't ever create themselves, and it isn't necessarily in a template that they would pick online. And it has hundreds of templates now. I know a number of companies that have moved across to Gamma since being a Microsoft shop for a long time, just because of the ease and the speed and the cost of it. When it comes to Gemini and slides, it still can't do a lot. So if you want styling or you want things edited, it's terrible at doing that. It's quite good at what I would call transferring docs into slides, but it's still not there. And although Notebook LM's apparently going to get this feature, maybe before this episode comes out, I would still say go with Gamma, because just the way that they've been really thoughtful. And I'll actually share a podcast where the Gamma CEO is on there and talks through his process. So that's how I recommend to people. And give you a really quick insight. I'm speaking at a conference on Wednesday. It's about AI and marketing. And I created all the slides myself. There's 100 slides. But I actually use Gamma to reduce it down so I can push it out to another audience who have asked for something very similar. So that's a very good use case for Gamma. That's what I'd recommend and how I tell people that's the best way for their use cases.
Yeah, and I go along with you on Gamma. I think they are doing some of the most advanced things right now. And the other thing to say, of course, is that this stuff's all getting better really, really quickly. So although at the moment, none of them does exactly what we want all the time, I wouldn't be surprised by spring next year if they've not really moved that game on and you start to get some very, very advanced production of slides and, end user products out of these tools because they've just moved on that bit further.
What I'd say a lot of the time now is the internal use case is becoming more and more important. So now people are using AI for the consumer side. I think people are now slowly realizing actually I can bring that into the corporate side, the business side. So I think a lot of people are now saying, right, because the use cases is coming into the office, a lot of the tool makers are going to be building it. So Claude come out with a version of PowerPoint and slides that you can do. Google are working on it. ChatGPT have some functionality within there. So now it's an internal use case and internal slides and, QBRs and end of year reviews are going to be so important coming up. These are all things they're working towards. So if you look at a calendar, just look at the dates and the important dates and just think about how corresponding AI releases are going to be based on those. So I have all the faith that they're just going to get better and better. And also being able to create videos off presentations, it's almost a use case that they've all nailed now.
Indeed.
Is there a use case that you have, Jonathan, where you would use one of these tools for something that you do or one of the businesses that you operate with? Is there a use case where you would take a doc or a load of notes that you have and try and get another tool to create slides or a presentation for you?
Well, I mean, at the moment, the way I'm using it is I would say there was something I wanted to talk about. I would do the work with, say, ChatGPT, and I'd do the backs and forwards about, here's a subject. We want to build a slide deck to show people, let's look at the subject. Let's talk about the main points of the subject. So I'd be doing backs and forwards until what I got was a summary in ChatGPT that was comfortable, right? That's the level of depth I want to go into, and that's all the areas I want to cover. And then you say, can you create the slide deck? And the challenge with ChatGPT is what you get then is a very basic slide deck with just text on it. And it quite often says, do you want me to create like a branded slide deck for you? When you say yes, it's always rubbish. So I always say no. Again, they'll get better, but they're not there yet. So then I usually take that bare text slide deck and then I use something like Microsoft Designer, which is a part of the PowerPoint suite, as you know. And I use that to do the kind of smart logoing and templating and bringing it all up to scratch. So that's how I use it right now. That's pretty good, but I think we're going to get better still if we can do what the question said, which is take something that's just about right and really polish it. That's when we're really going to fly with this stuff, that it's doing the final polish of the deck to make it look really good.
If your internal teams are using Canva, they're now integrated into ChatGPT, and they're going to be working across the different suites. So if your team uses Canva or your external designer, then there are ways that you can integrate it in now as well. So these are all use cases that I think are going to be, and integrations that are going to be used more and more. So your use case and very similar ones are going to be ones that I think people are going to remove the hours and hours of slide tweaking to actually something they can concentrate on the content and then just deliver excellence. Right, Jonathan, I think we gave everyone a number of different use cases, including Gamma and Copilot. So I think if there's any other questions that anyone wants to ask, all the information's in the show notes, and also we send out the supporting newsletter. So I think there are many ways to get in touch. If you have your own question or you want to show us what you've done, is something we'd love to see. So Jonathan, thanks for all your insights today, and we'll be back very soon with another episode.
I'll see you next time, Danny.
Thanks for listening today, everyone. If you liked what you heard, please give us a rating and review in any of the podcast players. We have a supporting newsletter, which is aimoment.co.uk, that comes out on Mondays and Fridays with every pod, and we dive a little bit deeper. So please subscribe there. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon.